Waiting now for Reverend Aaron Long to check in. We're going to be talking about Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals and how the church was infiltrated using some of those principles. And surprisingly, I was amazed at Reverend Long noting that one of his professors told his students to lie to people in the pew. And Reverend Long had a significant dust up with that professor. Alinsky was a revolutionary of sorts, 1930, 1970. He wrote his rules for radicals. He sounds like a Marxist. He is a moral relativist. He dedicated his book to Lucifer. He views a person as dualistic, with God and angels on one side and the devil on the other side, inherent constitutionally to a human being. Hillary Clinton wrote her undergraduate thesis on Alinsky, and Obama is allegedly to have used a lot of Alinsky.
Well, that's weird.
That is weird.
Hold on, Donald. Let me see what I can do.
There you go. You're good.
Okay. It's been one of those days so far. I woke up on a whole nother issue that ain't got nothing to do with this. I woke up at 4:30 this morning, and the air conditioning, the heat pumps out at the parsonage.
Oh,
So I've been trying to scramble, so I'm going to have to get off about 10 minutes early. Hopefully, I got a guy that's going to be able to fix it
okay.
because I can't do it tomorrow because we've got that 300th anniversary celebration tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we got a guy coming down from Pennsylvania. We're going to do the Palatinate liturgy at 10 o'clock because I managed to get a hold of a German copy from the Faulkner Swamp service in 1725 and spent the first 3 days of the week translating it. That is the weirdest service, Donald. You can tell that they were doing it from memory, not from a document. As a fellow pastor, I'm going to tell you, the consecration of the elements goes through the words of institution 3 different times. It sticks the Apostles' Creed dead in the center of the canon. It is just a weird. The only reasoning I can come up with, because it's not you can tell the parts are Palatinate, but it's like it literally only thing I can say is they must have been doing it from memory instead of from a hard copy because it's an odd surface.
Okay.
But it's I was telling the other pastors the other day, I'm going to do it because it's the one they did. And I'm going to have copies of my translation for them to be able to take home so they can have them as historical documents. I don't think it's really super usable on a regular basis. Because from what I've seen, they either went back to the Palatinate or some modified version after that once they got the copies. And the guy coming down is actually he has got several copies of the first English translation of the Heidelberg printed in America.
Okay.
So we got a guy named Osterman that's coming down. His daddy's family was Anglican from Falls Church and all that. He was a member of Falls Church and he was a member of one of the parishes in Beaufort, North Carolina. And his mama comes from our tradition. and he's a language expert that's gone around the world doing translations. He's currently working for the Mennonites, but he's been doing contract work for the UCC, going through the ENR Historical Society, doing stuff also. He's bringing down pewter communion sets from the 1700s and all sorts of other stuff that he's rescued for us.
I should also mention that my psychiatrist friend noted to me that he was of German Reformed extraction.
Cool.
And was down in your neck of the woods for decades upon decades. And soon as I started mentioning that to him, he jumped on his computer and was looking up Zacharias or Sinus and Heidelberg Catechism and asking me questions.
What's his last name?
Johnston, which is very English, Irish.
No, but I know Johnston's. That's what I'm sitting there thinking. What they are is they married in.
Okay. And also, what was I going to say? Bishop Rudolph of the Reformed Episcopal Church, he was raised in a German Reformed congregation in New York City. They were moneyed people. They had some jewelry stores. And his parents wanted him to learn English better. So they started attending First Reformed Episcopal Church in New York City, and it went from there. And he ultimately took his studies at RES in Philadelphia, and he went to Princeton and studied with B.B. Warfield for a year. Then he went to Germany and studied with the infamous New Testament scholar Theodor Zahn, a Lutheran, and came back. And he was, by the way, a Calvinist.
Well, the thing that people forget about is there was all right, this part of North Carolina especially. See, we ended up absorbing after the revolution probably about 40 Anglican churches around Burlington, Randolph, all that. And we were constantly in contact back and forth, even with the Episcopal Church, until the Tractarians stepped in.
Okay.
There was Peter has talked about this. There was a point in time between Western Virginia, Western North Carolina, and Western South Carolina that there really wasn't a clear dividing line between the Episcopal Church and the German Reformed Church. That didn't develop until there was a motion made at a synod that we merge with the Episcopal Church, and the Proto-Tractarians out of New England and New York basically shut it down.
Yeah.
Because theologically, the Heidelberg, I know the Dutch claim to use the Heidelberg, but the Heidelberg as a theological document is more closely akin to the 39 articles than it is. It's not saying that, I'm not saying that your 27 documents of Reformed unity, I'm not saying that they're separate, but I mean, as far as familial ties, the Heidelberg and the 39 articles are almost twins, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's in the same time period too.
Because I would actually argue the Belgic Confession and the Second Helvetic both fit in nicely.
Yes. Belgic is extremely clear. Second Helvetic is kind of long, but it's good.
Well, the Second Helvetic is weird. It's one of those that became a confession. What the Second Helvetic really is Bullinger's last will and testament.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly a better way of describing it than describing it as a confession, but you can't say that because nobody's going to understand it.
Beza said Bullinger was the pastor of Reformed churches.
Well, it's because Bullinger lasted longer than ever. Part of Bullinger's influence is Bullinger is the one that bridges the gap between Luther and Beza. He was around longer than anybody else. Now, part of that is because how early on Zwingli died in the Zurich Reformation. Part of that is because Bullinger just lived longer than everybody else. But Bullinger knew everybody. He knew Butzer, he knew Luther, he knew Calvin, he knew Cranmer, he knew Parker, he knew Beza, he knew Melanchthon. He literally knew all the big players.
Plus, with the Marian exiles to the continent, they opened their doors to so many of them, the Englishmen. And that they brought their influence back to England, of course, and it was a Calvinistic country until it wasn't.
Well, I stand on the contention that the Heidelberg Catechism was the most commonly used catechism in England.
Yeah.
Not that Knowles was bad, it's badly written. It's theologically not that bad.
Yeah.
But it's just a nightmare to use. But on top of that, Parker required his clergy to read through Bullinger's Decades.
Yes, he did. Yep. And
I'm sorry, Donald.
We were going to talk about Alinsky today.
Yeah, that's why I messed you. It's 13 rules, excuse me.
Okay.
Instead of going through the book, I wanted to go through the rules. Because as I read through the rules, if you don't mind me taking the lead.
No, I did read his book, and I didn't.
What was your take?
My take was that it was not well written.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he's a moral relativist. Number three, although he denies it, he sounds kind of quasi-Marxistic. Number four, it seems like any ends will justify the mean, and he uses things like irreverence, disrespect, backbiting, anything that will help the have-nots take away power from the haves.
All right.
I was not impressed with the book. I'm going through a second book by Hedgepath is his name. Rules for Radicals Defeated.
Right.
I'm reading that slowly, but I'm just not getting my hands around what are these principles and what are the problems with them, which I'm hoping you can elucidate.
All right. Well, before we get started, let me make a couple of statements. Number one, he is a Marxist, but he is a Marxist in the Trotskyite school. And what we have is a shell game going on from the 40s to the 60s in the United States. Lenin, Stalin, and Trotsky take over Russia. Lenin is able to hold everything together and creates the modern concept of Marxism. When Lenin dies, Stalin basically does a coup d'etat and drives Trotsky out. Now, you've got to remember, Trotsky was not originally a Bolshevik. Trotsky was a Menshevik. He came from a different view of socialism, Marxism, communism than what Lenin and Stalin were a part of. Stalin drives Trotsky out. Trotsky ends up in Mexico. Trotsky creates a cult of personality around himself, and he draws a lot of disciples. The Frankfurt School in Germany, before Hitler drove them out and drove them into America, where they dispersed throughout higher education, they were Trotskyite in their philosophy. William F. Buckley, that's one that's going to surprise you probably, was a Trotskyite.
Whoa.
Neoconservatism and neoliberalism that we saw rise up between Reagan, the Bushes, and Clinton were all based off of Trotskyite principles. Okay. What you're seeing in the woke movement today comes out of these Trotskyite philosophies. People don't realize they are, and Saul Alinsky comes out of this. People don't realize that it is Marxism because it is a mutated form of the philosophy.
Okay.
All right. To give you an example, and I know this is not a political channel, and I'm just using this as an example of how it's Trotskyite. Take your Dick Cheneys and your people like that. They are called neoconservatives. And if you claim that they are Marxist, most of them actually are going to look at you like you got three heads. But they are seeking for a world revolution where there is really no national parity. They're looking for a world order. George Bush Sr. actually said in his first inaugural address, he talked about the New World Order. And I'm not going at this from a conspiratorial, Masonic, all that sense. I believe what he's talking about is embedded in all of this Trotskyite thing, because the thing with Trotskyite was there is a constant sense of revolution, borderless states. These are the same people that give us NAFTA. These are the same people that want to get rid of tariffs. And these are the conservatives that want free trade across the world. These are the people that support the World Economic Fund, the ones that support the UN. These are the people that take over the CIA and push the European Union. While it may be capitalist for the neocons in their economic model, their philosophical grounding is thoroughly Marxist. They are trying to create a revolution to spread throughout the world. Have you ever wondered why America was so involved in all of these conflicts? We've basically been in a state of war since the beginning of World War I. And we've been involved in places that it didn't really even fully make sense. And you'll hear these terms, the Wilsonian term, making the world safe for democracy. Well, what we're doing is creating a type of Marxist utopia that is derived from Trotskyianism. See, Trotsky got ran out of Russia on the basis that he would not stop the revolution. Trotsky was the head of the Red Army, and as soon as World War I was over, he invaded Poland. He invaded Finland. And Lenin called him back, and then Stalin had to get rid of him. But this Trotskyite philosophy has crept in everywhere. Look at what Johnson introduced in his Great Community. It's all purely Marxism, the welfare state and all the rest of it. I'm not talking about social safety nets. Like, even though I have my issues with FDR created social safety nets. You see all of this influence, and they took over the education system. So they created this educated class that basically run everything. It's just, we say we are this capitalist democratic republic. We're run by Marxists on all sides. They just don't identify as it.
Okay, I have ordered Mark Levin's book, American Marxism.
Right.
I have not studied that as a subject at all. At all.
And I don't want to get too deep in the political weeds.
Yeah.
But I would like, just without discussing, I just want to read through the 13 rules.
Okay, go
We can
ahead.
go back and discuss them.
Okay.
But as I read through them, Donald, I want you to think of one person, and that one person is Ray Sutton. All right? No, we can spread out, but to make this clear what I'm talking about, as I read through this to help you to understand what I'm talking about,
Okay.
I want you to think of Sutton. Rule number 1, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Rule number 2, never go outside the experience of your people. Rule number 3, whenever possible, go outside the experience of the enemy. Rule number 4, make the enemy live up to his own book of rules. Rule number 5, ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. There is no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. It also infuriates the opposition, who then react to your advantage. Rule number 6, a good tactic is one that your people enjoy. Rule number 7, a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Rule number 8, keep the pressure on. Rule number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Rule number 10, the major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure on the opposition. Rule number 11, if you push a negative hard and deep enough, it will break through into its counter side. This is based on the principle that every positive has its negative. Rule number 12, the price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Rule number 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yep. All of those words come back, but I can't take them from the principial form to see what's wrong with them or how they apply.
Right, and I get that. Hold on. Because I can do this with Sutton, I can do it with Bird, I can do it with several different people. All right, with Sutton. Rule number 1, power is not only what you have, it's what the enemy thinks you have. Sutton consistently portrays the image of power. He wears his mama's drapes. He took a picture with the Pope. He pushes the image of a lot greater authority than what he actually has.
See that?
Okay. Rule number 2, never go
And
out.
all the hats and the mama's living room drapes, that is all power statement.
It's all power state. Yes. Rule number 2, never go outside the experience of your people. Sutton focuses on issues when he is dealing in a public way, for the most part, that people can agree with. Sutton goes after women's ordination. Sutton makes principled stands that makes him look like he is a man of the people, while all the time in the background he is trying to accrue as much power and authority as he can.
Yes, that is his governing principle, is to grab power.
Right, but
I see what you're saying.
okay,
Fix hot button issues to magnify himself.
right. Even with the Calvin Robinson thing, it was done. If you look at the Calvin Robinson and the REC thing, Sutton made a public move to bring Calvin Robinson into the fold, whether he wanted him or not, and allowed the other bishops to basically kick Robinson out. I question whether Sutton really wanted Robinson. What he wanted was to look like he was standing up for this poor oppressed man. It's all about optics.
Wonder what his game was with Robinson.
Honestly, his game with Robinson is Robinson can draw on a large contingent of Generation Z, Zoomers, whatever you want to call them. Because Robinson, for all of his negative points, has made a public profession over and against the boomers and everybody else taking a stand on social issues that we should agree with. Robinson has been part of a vanguard.
So again, it was another power move.
Right. All right, number 3.
And for those that are listening in, I can identify with all of this because I've studied this Sutton, Shifty Sutton I followed him since the mid-1980s.
And this is why I'm using Sutton to get you to understand the principle. He's not the only one. All right, number 3, whenever possible, go outside the experience of the enemy. All right, let's go back to the Anglican office book. All right, I don't think the majority of the Anglicans in the REC or the ACNA really understood it. They didn't really understand all the stuff that Sutton signed off on. He went outside of their personal experience, and whether he believed in it or not, what he did was create a sense of discomfort for those around him. And he backed them into an ingenious corner with that book. Because if the Reformed or even the evangelical and the charismatic wings of the ACNA came out against that book, it would have caused the Anglo-Catholics in their ranks that they were trying to keep in to basically split off. If they didn't stand up against it, it ended up making them look weak and like they weren't really committed to their theology.
So now this rule again is to speak of the enemy's discomfort zone.
Right. Now, you handled it the way you needed to as a forensic theologian. And here is where I draw the line between you and I. As a forensic theologian, you took the Anglican office book and you dissected it theologically. You showed how it was, you did exactly what your calling is to do.
It's very Westminsterian.
Right. The thing I did was look at it as a power move on Sutton's part. And I think that was really Sutton's intention with it. It wasn't so much he wanted to introduce the Anglo-Catholicism as much as it was a vehicle to sow dissension in the ranks so he could gain more power.
Interesting.
All right. Number 4, make the enemy live up to his own rules. Let's go back to the Calvin Robinson thing.
And you are really helpful, Aaron, on this stuff. We might have to go through them and then go back through them again because these are very insightful comments, because I have maintained from day one that as far as Sutton is concerned, it has always been about the accrual of power.
Right. But what I'm saying, Donald, is I'm only using Sutton as an example because he's one I know you know inside and out. You've just never looked at it through this lens.
Correct.
But I can do this with Amy Bird. I can do this with a bunch of them.
Well, we'll have to do that then.
Right. All right. make the enemy live up to his own rule book. Sutton, just with the Calvin Robinson, I can probably do others. With the Calvin Robinson thing, there is a level to which Sutton violated the rules. So what he did when he brought Robinson in, even though I don't think he really wanted Robinson because Robinson would have been a threat to his power, he was able to bring Robinson in and use the rest of the ACNA House of Bishops to get rid of him because that was their rules. So in the end of the day, Sutton looks like the one that is championing the downtrodden. All the while he's using Robinson to accrue more authority and make those around him look weak.
And it worked.
Right. All right. Ridicule. What was Sutton's response to your comments? Now, I do not want you to think I'm saying Sutton responded himself. Because Sutton did not respond himself. What Sutton did was he used his toadies to come after you. Did they come after you, Donald, on a solid, flat theological discussion plane?
He tried to long talk me, Sutton.
But what did he use his toadies to do?
His toadies didn't do anything.
They mocked you and ridiculed you.
Oh, Jimmy Gadd.
Yeah, but not just him. I can go through there's a list of them. They said you were old. They said you were crazy. They said you didn't know what you were doing. They made comments on you going to a psychiatrist and a therapist. I can go through a list of. Basically, instead of confronting you, they ridiculed you. Now,
yeah,
Sutton.
Now that Jimmy Gadd boy,
Mm-hmm.
He went through Shifty's school in Dallas, I believe.
He did, but my point is Sutton was playing 3D chess because Sutton did not ridicule you directly because that might make him look bad. What he did was he had his henchmen do it.
And boy, I'll tell you, boy Jimmy Gadd video called me here one night, and for 45 minutes, he laced into me. And when he first got going, I started laughing. I couldn't
Right.
believe it. And the more I laughed, the hotter he got. And he thought because I was being disrespectful to his bishop. And I said, "You're right." And justifiably disrespectful because he's a dirtbag. Oh man, off he went 45 minutes. I don't know. It was pathetic.
But Donald, Sutton weaponized ridicule.
Yeah, yes. And ridicule and mockery and anger and it was agitation.
Right. But see, that's rule number 5. It infuriates the opposition who then react to your advantage.
It didn't infuriate me.
No.
I didn't get mad,
But do you see the tactic?
I see the tactic where had it been thrown against someone of a weaker type, they might have
Right.
gotten mad or whatever, had a counter reaction. I didn't change course, but I can see the tactic you're mentioning.
Right. And
It just
all right.
didn't work in my case.
Right. But if he'll do it to you, won't he do it to anybody?
Luis Perez confronted him on that book, and Sutton came out. The only time I've ever seen him come out like that and threatened the man with excommunication. And then he was going to alert civil authorities for misuse of social media, which was ridiculous. It was a power move, but he was reacting and violating his own rules because this guy didn't fold either.
All right. Number 6. A good tactic is one your people enjoy. Now, I want you to think about this. When Sutton was a Baptist and a Presbyterian, he was a militant theonomist because that's what people were into at that point in time.
Yeah.
When he went Anglican, he adopted Mama's drapes. Why? Because there is a certain category of Anglican clergy that are more interested in playing dress up than being clergy.
And as the RECs unfolded in the 1990s, that's exactly what some of them wanted. And he played to that storyline.
He adopted a tactic that the people enjoyed to get him on his side.
Gotcha.
All right. Number 7, a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. How many times have you seen him shift?
I hadn't counted the number.
Because he knows that he's got to keep changing. His ultimate goal is power, but he is going to change on a regular basis in order to keep it from becoming stale.
What's his next shift?
Well, we'll get to that at the end. I'm not really wanting to talk about him as a man because we can discuss that later.
Yeah.
I'm just showing how this plays out. Number 8.
Is this, do you think, a demonic dimension that plays out without Sutton knowing these rules explicitly?
Personally, yes, because it pops up in too many places.
Well, Alinsky
He
talks about,
dedicated the book to Satan.
yeah, he did. And he said that man is constituted dualistically.
Mm-hmm.
The angel
Because
and the
Marxism is Gnosticism. No matter what form of Marxist you are, it is Gnosticism. But let me finish what I'm doing right here.
Okay.
All right. Keep the pressure on. When Sutton wanted to change the REC, has he ever let off the gas?
Absolutely not. He pushed. Absolutely.
Right. Number 9, the threat of something is more terrifying than the thing itself. He threatens, going back to your Perez story, he keeps that excommunicado in his back pocket or the local authorities in his back pocket because the threat of it is more terrifying than what it is. Now, you and Perez may have seen through him, but how many people could he level that at and they would just fold? Just the threat.
I got you.
All right. Number 10, the major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. Sutton took over RES indirectly. And so what he did is the stream of clergymen that would be considered valid for these churches were his own stormtroopers. Because what he turned RES into was not a seminary, but a military basic training school. He did not care whether these people were thoroughly formed in their Christianity. He wanted loyal troops.
That's for sure.
But what he does in doing that is it is a tactic for the development of operations that maintain a constant pressure. when all of the quote unquote Orthodox clergy are your soldiers, what recourse do the other churches have?
Yeah, he mobilized his troops, him and Leonard Riches.
But Leonard Riches ultimately was a patsy for Sutton.
And
Sutton played
he too was interested in power.
right. All right. If you push a negative hard and deep enough, it'll break through to its counter side. If he pushes something hard enough, he will get what his end result is. As long as he doesn't give up, he is going to get his objective.
He should have been stopped in 2000 when he was teaching transubstantiation and rosary beads.
But the thing is, Donald, is he had already laid the framework and the foundation.
And when they closed his school down in Shreveport, Louisiana, there is word on the street that he blackmailed Bishop Royal Grote, was number 2 man in the denomination, for doing Episcopal visitations with an unmarried woman. It was just him and the unmarried woman traveling around. And because Royal Grote threatened to excommunicate Sutton. And it is street talk, street chatter, that Sutton blackmailed Bishop Roy Grote into silence.
Power politics.
Power politics.
All right. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. All right. Sutton's successful attack, we'll use the example of the Anglican office book. It accomplished what he wanted it to accomplish. The price of it was your response to it. There is no doubt in my mind that Sutton had already taken into consideration that there would either be you or someone like you that would rise up.
Yeah, I hammered him, if you remember.
Right, and you did. But what he did was he took that into his calculation. And what he did with it was use you to spin off, to pull any dissenters in your direction, to basically fortify his position where he was at.
And one big thing I noticed as a result of that is that those around him never said a word.
Right.
When he was done with that operation, and I really went after him, was that he had won silence.
Right.
All the Acton bishops, because I sent that to all Acton, FCE, and all REC bishops. It was total silence, including
because he had constructed it that way. All right. And then we get to the final one, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, polarize it.
Yeah, that one really stuck with me when I read that.
All right. I am not saying this to bash Sutton. I am just using, because he is someone you are familiar with, I'm using him as an example to show how this Marxist philosophy has infiltrated the church. It gets into the church in several different ways. Number one, the Soviets had agents in all of the schools all through the Cold War. We know that. That's not conspiracy theory. That's just in the record. The Soviets had infiltrated all the churches, whether they be Roman Catholic or Protestant. And they did it through the seminaries. And then when you couple that with the fact that the Frankfurt School, the postmodernists, all of them had taken over the educational operations early on. You have a different form of Marxism coming in that way. This is how all of our denominations have collapsed. You see this in the OPC and the PCA. You see this all over. With Amy Bird, think back on your reading. What did she do? Power is not only what you have, but what your enemy thinks you have. They thought that Amy could draw in women. She had projected this image. And I went back and did some reading. One of the reasons why she was able to get away with what she did as long as she did is she projected the image of being a woman of the OPC that could help bring other women in. All right. With Amy Bird, never go outside the experience of your people. You read all those books. What did she do? She told stories. She made herself, all right, number 4, whenever possible, go outside the experience of your enemy. Her enemy was your classically trained Westminster Presbyterians. What are they? They are like you. They are forensic theologians. They are confessionalists. So Amy, instead of appealing to Westminster standards, instead of appealing to Calvin, instead of reading Turretin, Amy goes back to personal experience, subjective truth over objective truth.
She surely does that.
But do you see how that's number 3? Go outside the experience of your enemy.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, make the enemy live up to his book of rules. When Spangler and the rest of them went after her, what did she do? She made the Presbyterians operate based off of their
rule book,
which ended up giving her even more time. Ridicule. Now, she didn't use ridicule in a straight out way. She used feminine guilt, shame, and rally. But it's still another way of using emotion to attack the enemy rather than logic. All right. Number 6, a good tactic is one that your people enjoy. She makes people feel comfortable. She talks about her own life, her own experience. She tells stories. She's able to get people to her side by making them, by lulling them. Think about reading those books, Donald. It's all about making you feel at ease, like you're just sitting there talking to somebody.
Yeah, she's very conversational.
Right. It's not about conveying truth. It is about almost hypnotizing you into a sense that this woman gets me. All right. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. You yourself have said that she changed tactics. You could see a progression to where she changed the way.
Yes.
Okay. Keep the pressure.
2021, the wallpaper book was
right.
Transition.
Keep the pressure on. All right. The threat is more terrifying than the action itself. Her looming threat is either you embrace my form of egalitarianism or you're going to have to either die because of the egalitarianism of the world or you're going to get the more militant feminists that come in. She presented herself as an alternative to your pink-haired feminism, even though at her core she was the same thing.
How are you doing on time with your air-conditioned guy?
Oh, I got to get going, but we can come back to this on Tuesday if you want to. But
yeah, you do.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do, but I just can't somehow connect. I hear you. It helped with the Sutton stuff. It's just I cannot see them being conscious of Alinsky, but yet they're doing the same things Alinsky outlines. Anyways, I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.